fight you in the ring. I'll fight you in business. I'll fight you if we're playing a sport, like whatever it is. Like, I want to win, but I just wasn't good. I wasn't good.
Yep. And yeah, so like Oliver now has been punched in the face a lot.
but he did good
Not by an
last night.
adult, though. I got to say that part, right?
Yeah, not by an adult.
So when I first started, I had a receipt book. People came in and paid by check or cash. And that's super foolish. 'Cause checks bounce real fast, like more than a trampoline, you know? Yeah, but their service is impeccable.
So when you knock someone on their ass, you say, "Have a blessed day."
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always just tell them
say
it's
my
not
pleasure.
personal, man.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Ow, my pleasure.
What do I call you? What do I do? I mean, I don't want to be too dramatic and call you a sensei, but should I call you a sensei?
I like to tell people I'm just a businessman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Think Fresh Move Forward podcast. Today we have a special guest with us. We have Ewell Carter. He is a martial arts. What do I call you? What do I do? I mean, I don't want to be too dramatic and call you a sensei, but should I call you a sensei?
I like to tell people I'm just a businessman.
There we go. There we go. And that's what's interesting about Yule. Honestly, so there's a lot of karate schools out there, and I've seen a lot of people in the karate industry, but Yule has made it a business that is very successful. And my kid. So what's interesting is my kid is in his school, and it's because Yule hired me to shoot one of his graduations, and I was like, this is amazing. Right. And like, so that just shooting the graduation, I was like, I definitely want my kid in this.
Like
and
the
so,
ceremony of
yeah.
finishing the program.
Well, it was, I don't know. I thought, so one thing that really sold me was the end when the parents were like, the parent was holding the wood for them to break. Right. And it was like this really like impactful moment. And it was like all the kids came down and had to break their deal to get their belt at one time, and like it was their parent that was holding
that's cool.
the wood, and that's like, I don't know, that seemed really cool. And then also,
so you own a martial arts school.
Yes.
And you have what? How many locations? Just one for now?
One right now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many students do you have?
We run around right now, honestly. So like, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but we're a little below 100.
100 students?
Yeah, we're a little below 100 right now, but yeah, and I'll go into that a little later to why we're there.
Okay.
Because sometimes you have to reset. Sometimes you have to fire customers.
Yeah.
Not all customers are great.
Yeah.
Especially parents and their kids.
No, that's really interesting, and that's probably something I want to talk about right away. Is like, let's talk about. Let's talk about your background first. Okay. So, what got you into karate to begin with?
So, when I was a kid, I got bullied. Right. It's one of the main reasons why people get involved in martial arts. But I was never afraid to fight. Like, I love to fight. It's one of my passions. I'll fight you in the ring. I'll fight you in business. I'll fight you if we're playing a sport, like whatever it is. Like, I want to win, but I just wasn't good. I wasn't good. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is where I got bullied at. I actually got bullied at church.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, every time after church, you know.
Like youth group? Or
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
So, like, after church, parents talk, kids go play, right? And so I've never fit in, right? So I always tell kids, like, for me, I'm a believer. I believe in God. You know, that's just my belief. I always tell people it's cool if you don't agree, no problem. But I got to answer for me. But I always believe, like, if you don't fit in, then God made you to stand out, right? So there's a gift. There's something for you to do. That's why I like working with kids, because most people that do martial arts are a little, you know, different.
Quirky.
Yeah. So I would go outside, and there are these kids, and I've never been a clique guy. I don't do cliques. I don't play that nonsense. So I wasn't in the clique, and then, like, I didn't agree with these guys, and they just beat the snot out of me. And so my parents were so I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So I'm a cowboy by heart. And a lot of the stuff I do, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, get on the horse and go. Don't think about it. Just take action. Ride it. You're either going to ride it or you're going to get kicked off. But you're going to learn both ways, right? So my parents were actually sitting in the car one time when I was getting beat up. and my parents are old school. You're gonna learn your lesson. We're not gonna save you. So, and Erin knows my mom. Like, she's super tough.
Yeah, she's a tough lady for sure.
So my parents had always told me not to like hit people, be a nice person. And so that's good to a point, but you also had to have a balance. Like, if somebody's trying to hurt you, like, you should hit them back. And they had kind of told me that. I just didn't know what to do. And they watched me get beat up. And so after that, my parents made the decision to put me on martial arts, right?
It's like, damn, my kid's getting his ass whooped.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. So, my mom's like looking in the newspaper, and there's this self-defense class. So she signs me up for self-defense, and I went in there, and I'll never forget my first class. My instructor was teaching us about like an inside leg kick or something, and I just hauled off and like kicked him right in the groin. Boom!
The instructor?
Yeah, like I just nailed him. He goes, I'll just never forget his face. But that was like the first thing I kind of found that I was like really good at. And I tell people I wasn't the greatest martial artist starting off. I wasn't good at it, but like it was something I knew I could become good at. And so I
it was like you found a lane that you could put the work into, and it would pay off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I wasn't good at like baseball, basketball. Like, I'd go play and stuff. I was okay as an athlete, but like it never like clicked for me. Martial arts was the thing that clicked for me. So that's really how I got involved with it, was because there was a situation. And remember, why do people get involved with things? Because there's always a need, right? Some people have confidence, low self-esteem. Some people need to learn discipline. Some people need to learn respect. Like, you would be real surprised if I told you like how many adults I have come because they want to learn discipline, and they want to learn respect, and they need confidence. So those three things are like the main drivers for adults. Weight loss as well, but most people they're insecure. They haven't had people teach them how to stand up because maybe they didn't get the opportunity that I got. So yeah, that's how I got involved. We moved back to Virginia. I started training at a school, and I ended up becoming an instructor there. And so the guy's a great guy. I have nothing against him. Love him to death. But I tell people sometimes you get to work for somebody and they teach you like how not to run a business.
Yeah.
Right? And he was good to me. He really was good to me. His son was really good to me. We had a great relationship. And so
then you start thinking about all the things you would do different if you were in charge, right?
Working for him, like, not necessarily. What really got me to think different was I started competing.
Ah, okay.
And so, like, you are who you hang out with, right? So I was in a circle, and then I started competing and seeing people that were better, and I was like, man, like, why are they better? Because, like, I'm doing this, it's not working. And that's really what I think pushed me, because I don't think if I had just done martial arts without the competition, that I don't know if I'd still be doing it. Like, when I started doing the competition, like, again, I like to win. I like to fight.
It gave you purpose.
Yeah. There was a lot of drive behind that. So I lost for 4 years straight, every tournament I went to.
Wow.
How bad?
Really?
How bad?
Yeah. Just lost.
How many tournaments were you doing, like, a year? Like,
Probably about 5 or 6. Yeah. And,
Wow.
I just lost.
That could
man.
be demotivating, but
Just lost. So I credit my mom for a lot of my success with that. Was my mom, again, she's tough. She doesn't believe in complaining. So every tournament we left, she always was like, let's find the solution. What could you have done better? And so people look at winning as like, hey, you got 4th place, or hey, you got a trophy, or hey, you got 3rd place. But instead, I was winning. I was losing on a scorecard, but like, hey, last time you lost 7-0. This time you lost 7-3. You got 3 points. So there were these like little micro wins, right? And people don't realize that those things add up. And then I got to the place where I was like 6-6 and we tied, and oh man, he got me that time. I was so close to winning, right? But the first trophy I won was a 4th place trophy. I was a purple belt. And then I won a 3rd place. That they actually have those 2 trophies to this day. They're in my garage. And then fast forward to going through that, I got picked up on an international karate team. I traveled the world. I got to compete. I chased a world title, and I was on stage for a world title more times than I can tell you, and I lost a lot. I got so many 2nd place watches, because they give you a watch when you get 2nd place. When you win, you get the ring. I was like, psh. stupid watches.
Well, question is, what kind of watch? Is it a?
It wasn't worth nothing
Okay.
because you're
Yeah.
second, right? And
It's like, oh, you get a Rolex for second place.
yeah,
I'll
oh,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah. But I remember the year I won. My first title was 2015, and that was actually I was going through some personal stuff in my life, and again I had a girlfriend. She probably wasn't the best for me, and I had kind of like stepped away. And I tell people I analyze my life like hard. So like I'm really careful of who I let in my life, because if that person comes in my life and I start making different choices, then there's a problem, right? So at that time in my life, again, physically I could defend myself, I could stand up for myself, but I hadn't found my voice verbally. And there's a big difference between physical, like bullying, and verbally bullying, right? Mental bullying, kind of like a bad relationship or a bad marriage or something like that, right? And so the problem I had at that time in my life was I didn't know how to tell people no because I was scared I'd hurt their feelings because I was a nice guy. And so I was with this girl, and she was a loser, dude. And the reason I went on a date with her because I didn't want to tell her no. And she wasn't even hot. Like, come on, man. Like, what was I thinking? But we go through this relationship, and I tell people, like, I went to prison for 10 months. That's how I look at it because, like, I was in such a bad place in my life. And so, like, I'd kind of given up on competing that year. And so then I had a teammate of mine. He reached out to me, and he's, like, super wild. I'm a very disciplined individual, and I don't do foolish things. And he was, like, the complete opposite. He was out in Colorado doing what Colorado people do, if you understand. And he believes in all these black holes and stuff like that in the universe. So he's super cool, though. But he calls me. He's like, hey, man, like, what are you doing with that loser? And, he just had this conversation with me. And, like, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. And I had a friend of mine in Texas, and she called me just out of the blue one day. I was like, hey, man, I want to call you. Like, you doing all right? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, you should break up with her. And I was like, why? Because I hadn't made that reason to myself yet. And she's like, listen, like, you have all this skill and stuff. You worked hard for this, and you're about to lose all of this for who? Somebody who doesn't even really care about you. And I was like, okay. So she's like, you got to do me a favor. And I was like, all right, anything. She goes, give me your word. And I was like, all right, you got my word. Just break up with her. And I was like, oh, man, I just gave you my word. Like, and I'm real big about my word. I'm going to come through on my word. So I remember one night she asked me, she's like, I just want to get married. And I was like, whoa. And I didn't say anything. She's like, don't you want to get married? And it was like that point where I had to make the decision. And I said, no. And it's crazy. It's like, that's just how simple it is. It's a yes or no answer. Sometimes we block ourselves because we like overcomplicate things. It's just that simple. So I broke up with her, and that was the middle of 2015. No, it's towards the end, like September. And I went down to Dallas, saw one of my best friends in life, came back home, and I hadn't trained, hadn't competed, and I made the decision. I said, I'm going to go to Worlds this year. I'm going to wild card. So when you go, you have to have like a seed to compete, or you can wild card. And like, there's only like 3 people in the world that have wild carded and won it. And so, I'm a wild card.
What does it mean to wild card?
It means you go in with no ranking at all, and you're the first one up. And usually you want to be like one of the last people up. Save your energy, right? Influence. A lot of it's political stuff with judges, And so if you're the last one up, especially if you're competing in forums, you're the last one up. You're the last thing the judge sees. If you're the first one up, you're the first thing. But when they get to the last person, they've already forgot you.
Yeah.
That's really tough. So I made the decision that I was going to go and wild card, and I was like 217 in September of 2015 because I had gotten fat and lazy. And when I weighed in that year at Super Grands in December, I was 185, and my knee was torn too. So like there was a big excuse there, but I ended up wild carding that year, and I won my first world title in 2015, and that was pretty awesome. That was a great moment. So like with all of that combined, just the lessons of martial arts, getting my black belt, winning that world title, especially the way I did, especially coming out of a really bad year, and within 4 months, changing my whole life again, coming back. I try to apply that to everything I do in life. So like there's nothing I can't do.
So what got you to starting your school? Was it just a natural progression? Like you're doing karate, your whole life is revolving around it, and you're like, this is I need to replicate this. I need to
And to expand on that, did you get a space first? Did you do private lessons? Did you use personal money to fund the startup? I'm just curious. Like, did you do it in like a shipping container?
Sure.
I'm just coming up with random ideas here. As
So
far as
those are all great questions. So I was about 15, 16 when I decided I wanted to open my own martial arts school. Like before that time, I thought I was going to go in the Navy, become a Navy SEAL, because like that was my dream. I watched the Bud show on Discovery, and that's all I wanted to be. But then I realized I could be good at martial arts, and I could do that. So I opened my school when I was 19, and I was a plumber. So I worked during the day as a plumber.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked in trades, and what I did was I got blessed, and I got around a guy out of Martinsville, Virginia, Ron Ferguson. He's a 10-time world champion. He's created multiple world champions, and he was super good to me when I was young. Like, he would let me come stay at his house. I mean, just pick his brain. Like, his fighting IQ is one of the highest IQs I've ever met. Like, it's just like, when I would fight with him, he'd call timeout, and I felt like a video game. You know, like XXY. He'd be like, hey, do this, this, and this. And if I did it, worked. If I didn't do it, I regretted it, you know. But so he actually taught me how to open a school with no money. And so what I did was I went and found a dance school, I subleased from him for 2 nights a week. And I was in not the greatest place in town. And
a dance studio, like a regular dance studio?
Dance studio, yep. And we actually started in Ettrick, Virginia. So went and did that, and I just went and handed out flyers to people. And I remember the first night I opened, I was all pumped. I'm like, yes, people are going to show up. Yes. Nobody showed up. And I signed 2 students up that night. They were both brothers. And so I built it from there, and I worked during the day. And then what I did was in business, especially in the beginning, you make not the best decisions because you don't know. You don't have that experience, right? And so we ended up going from like 2 students to like 35 students within like 2 months, which is pretty good, especially like I didn't know how to market. I didn't know anything. And so then
You were just raw effort at that point.
I was just a fool. You know, like, yeah, exactly.
Just raw effort.
Yeah,
just
I
like,
was just like praying and like hoping and wishing. And I tell people sometimes though, like when you can foresee it in your mind, like things happen. And so yeah, so then the ladies who owned the dance school kind of came to me. I was like, hey, we need to raise your rent. Got a lot of students. And I was like, this is not fair. This is not right. So that's when I started looking at it, and I was like, well, I'm paying this much. I need to look into getting my own space. As far as like being smart about finances and everything at that age, like I was an idiot. Like I was just leap of faith, take action, leap of faith, figure it out later. And so I did. I signed a commercial lease at 19 years old in a shopping center in Colonial Heights, and it was 5 years. And I remember going back to him, and I was like, hey, you got to make this thing 4 years, because like if I did fail, like this is like my life's done, like, you know. So I did that, and we went from there, and just over the years of just kind of working and progressing. I worked a day job for probably about 5 years and ran that place at night and competed professionally. So that was the other thing. Like most other people I competed against, all they did was teach karate and train. So there was like a big separator between us.
And now you don't have a day job anymore?
I don't. Well, I do. 4:45 every morning. And because like when you're a real entrepreneur, like you actually work harder. Like I can honestly say that like working that day job and then running the small school at night was like super easy compared to what I do now. Cause like I have a staff that I manage, and you know I'm big about service. Service should be senior to everything. Should be senior to selling. So, and especially with where we want to go and what I want to do, like I feel like it's more pressure on me than I've ever had in my life. But like I love pressure, man. Like that's the same thing to fighting. Like that pressure is what drives you, especially when you conquer it. You know, because pressure is not as bad as you think it is. It's just like fear. Fear is fake. Danger is real. Like, those are 2 different things.
False expectations appearing real.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. But, yeah, that's how I started, man. And, I mean, I tell people, like, it's really simple. If if I could go back, I would do some things obviously different. You know.
What do you? So what are some key moments that have taken you from just like surviving as a karate school to like turning it into a business that's profitable? What do you think? I remember having this conversation a while back with you about automatic billing, right?
Sure.
And I remember that being a big key for you.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I actually had to reach out to some people today because they blocked us from their cards. So like you always have the same problem, but like I used to like kind of get emotional about it, you know, and then you'd have to look those people in the eye, or they just screw you out of your money and they're not going to pay you.
Chasing money is not
Like
not
it's just
fun.
It's just whatever to me. Like when it comes to that now. But I will tell you, so when I first started, I had a receipt book. People came in and paid by check or cash, and that's super foolish. 'Cause checks bounce real fast, like more than a trampoline, you know. And
So yeah, you're card only now.
so we are card only, unless you want to buy. I'll do. I have a couple memberships that I'd let somebody pay cash in. So like last month, we sold a lifetime membership. And the lifetime membership that they picked was $30,000. So that's for one membership. Yeah.
Wow.
And but they preferred, like, if you want to pay me $30K in cash, like,
I'll take it.
yeah, that's okay, you know. But they paid with the card, so that's cool too.
Would you take a check for someone if they paid a whole year up front?
No. Yeah. So same thing. I wouldn't even take cash for that. I would take a card. Yeah, if you're gonna move, like for me, moving it to make it like important, and if it's a check, like $30,000 check, it better be a business check or something, or somebody that I know is very reputable, that I can trust and say, hey, listen, you know, Mr. Money, if this doesn't go through, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you about this. Are we clear?
It's so funny you say that because like being in that B2C world, right, where you
Yeah.
have all of these independent clients that you're working with, right? You have to be so much more mindful of that. You have to like say credit card only because you just need to know on the spot it's good. Right?
I want checks.
Yeah. For us,
Yeah.
we
Look,
love checks.
I
we're
want
getting business.
I want
checks,
direct
right?
deposit
Yeah.
because it's the fees.
Yeah.
Like the amount
Yeah.
of credit card, and I can only imagine what you pay in credit card processing fees.
Yeah.
Probably a lot.
It's a lot. But like same with us, we could have bought a BMW
Yeah.
with
Sure.
the amount of credit card processing fees we did.
So I actually have a good debate about that because there's a lot of people that won't do it because of that. So this is what I always ask. So if I'm gonna give you $30,000 and you're gonna lose $1,000, but I did that every single day, would you be upset?
No.
No. Okay. Cool. So I had this conversation with somebody one time. I used to have a big national team that I'd take around and compete. And so one of my deals was, if I come, you're going to pay for my hotel room, and then you're going to pay me 25% of whatever my school brings in. Well, I'm bringing you $10,000, right? So you're just going to pay for my hotel room because I got to have something for the weekend. Like
Yeah.
I'm not with my family. I could have been at home and made money, right? And then you're going to give me $2,500. And I had a lot of people tell me no. And I was like, hey, like, you don't want $7,500? Free money. No problem. So that's how I look at credit card processing fees, because to me it's like, okay, $30K, I lost $750 on a swipe, so I got $29,250. Like,
Yeah. That
it's
you
just
wouldn't have had
whatever.
before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now I get it. I get it from your point of view as well.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, so I say a few things on our retainer clients, the ones that pay us monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Credit card is on file.
Yeah, I'm with you. So
It's
do
the
you
same
think-
aspect. It's because it's chasing money. I don't have to do that for
That's what I was gonna say. Do you
It's
think
time.
it's just easier to say, hey,
exactly.
you want us to bill you with the card on file?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people are
absolutely.
different. Like client of mine, he's like, oh, I like going to actually file the checks and getting the money. It's my favorite thing to do. It's like, how much time do you spend
Right.
doing that? And then you have to find the checks, find the invoices, fill out the accounting book. QuickBooks Online, boom, I send an invoice, it gets paid, it files it for me, does all my accounting. I don't have to touch a thing.
Yeah.
So it's so much time, like whatever that percentage is, it's so much less time I have
There,
to do.
there is some risk to credit card processing, especially if it's in a large amount transaction, because someone can dispute it.
Mm.
We've experienced that.
Oh yeah,
We
me too.
lost $9,000,
Yeah.
even though we were in the right.
Yeah.
I will
Because
say,
the credit card companies will always.
especially if it's Amex.
Yeah.
Amex will always stand behind.
It's
the
so
client.
funny. It's so funny because
pisses me off.
the the
Tell me how you
business
really feel.
owner, the business owner
mhm.
is financing all the reward programs.
Yep.
They're carrying all the burden, right? But they don't really get defended
Yeah.
by the
There's
credit card company.
3 instances where I've dealt with disputes. 2 of which were American Express. One was with this business and one was with the Lux Metal Card. Lux Metal Card, I had proof of delivery that even the client signed it.
Mm.
Denied.
Mm.
Or I lost that dispute.
Yeah.
They stood behind their
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
Grant, it was only like $300-400, whatever. And then the other one was another Amex was on this business, and we had mountains of evidence of all the work being done, and it was $9,000. Nope, it's in their favor.
Yep.
Amex.
Yep.
We are
Yeah.
suing that person. That's all I'll say on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The third time was actually with the Lux business again, and the client was the bank. It was TD. I have no problem saying this. It was TD Bank, and this guy was such a POS because 2020
Point of sale.
20
Point
yeah,
of sale.
point of sale.
Point of sale.
2020 happened. It was like right at 20, and
Yeah.
our stuff was made overseas, so there was manufacturing delays. And he's like, "That's not my problem." It's like it's everyone's problem, but
Yeah.
regardless of the
Everyone
fact,
in the world is dealing with it.
Yeah.
we sent him the product. He received it, and then he sent it back. But the banks are the ones who decide in what favor.
Yeah.
And of
Right.
course, he's super high up at TD Bank. And guess what? They rule in his favor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thankfully, when they sent it back via FedEx, FedEx lost it. It was insured, so I was able to claim the insurance
Yeah.
loss
Yeah.
on that one. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's pros and cons to credit card processing. There's pros and cons to accepting ACH. The one thing I will say when it comes to running a business, though, that's really important, especially if it's even B2C, and I'm sure you might have them, is solid contracts
Yep.
that the person signs, written by an attorney.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think the 2 things that are important about like the automatic billing and stuff like that's one, the time saver, right? And then if you have employees. Okay. I've actually told Aaron there's 2 types of business. There's the person, and I don't really even like to call it business. I call it there's the person that owns a job, right? And so that means if you leave and the business can't run and can't make a profit and stuff like that, then guess what you own? You own a job, right? And then there's the guy that is a business owner. He can leave. His company still makes a profit. He can get you the keys, have a 30-day vacation, come back, and he still made profit. So what I like to do is I like to think about with how can this work without me, right? And that's 2 different mindsets, whereas I used to have the mindset it was like all about me, and that was because of the circle of guys I was around. It was all about them. Their whole schools were built on that, but during that phase, like I couldn't go on a vacation. If I wasn't teaching the class, they're like, "Oh, Ewell's not teaching the class, so it's not as good," right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you build
Yeah.
your entire value proposition around your
Yeah.
personality or like your skill set that
Yep.
you bring something unique and different that other people don't have, then you can't ever empower an employee, right?
Yeah, And building a perception with your clients that you're the best.
Yep.
Will kill you. That's what I really ran into with real estate photography, as I had clients who were just so tied to me and me alone, and like, man, it's exhausting because like you have to. If it's not you, it's
Yeah, it's not. They're not going to want to work with you,
yeah.
and that's okay. I always tell people use the phrase we
Mhm.
we are the best.
Mhm.
We are the best because whoever we are, we're going to be the best.
Yep.
We're the best, and like you said, empowering people. Like you have to really take your ego down
Yeah.
to let somebody step in. They're going to make mistakes. It's cool. Like
yeah.
I still make mistakes every day. Like my wife lets me know every time, like consistently.
Can always count on that.
Yeah, guaranteed. No, I have an awesome wife. She's awesome. And but I think the key is finding a medium. I have several friends that are very successful entrepreneurs, and I paid to get in that circle. That's the difference. And I call them friends because they're friends. They are friends. We're really good friends, but I had to pay to get in the circle. And that's the difference. If you're in a circle sometimes and it's free and you're getting all this advice, you really need to think about it.
Break
'Cause-
that out a bit more. What do you mean you had to pay to get in the circle? What do you mean by that?
You wrote them a check?
So yeah, I did
Like-
a very large check. Probably, I think I'm about $50,000 in now just to be
Like a
inside.
networking circle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to be inside
Yeah.
this circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like
So-
a mastermind type
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, like and I have a business coach. His name's Aaron Hensley. His company's Rise USA, and they're just phenomenal, man. Just really, like, he's changed my life.
Are they karate specific?
No, they're business like any type of business.
What's
Like
it called again?
Rise USA. Rise USA. Aaron Hensley, and so he used to run martial arts schools. He was very successful. He owned 20 locations, and then he exited, with a really awesome exit. Let's just say that. But he's super smart. He's involved in real estate. Involved in a lot of different things. But that was the other thing, is like, when you build a business, you should always build a business with the plan to what? Exit, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't. And I wasn't. And when I say exit, like, I'd like to exit and be able to give it to the people who work for me, right? So they can
Yeah.
be successful and become financially successful and become wealthy as well. And wealth isn't always money, right? Like, but it is. Because, like, if your mom's sick and you have money, it's a whole lot easier to deal with the situation than it is when you're broke and your mom's sick. Because then you don't have money and you don't have time, right? But I think when you have the automatic billing, when you have that stuff, you can empower your employees, and it's less problems because cash doesn't go missing as much. Now, I have another friend. He's all credit cards, and he had employees go and take the customer's card numbers and embezzle $60,000.
Oh my gosh.
Like, so,
Gotta have people you trust around you.
yeah, people are still gonna be people.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
We have two, myself, and then I have two other guys that work for me.
And how much power do they have without you there? They've had to fire a client on the spot, like, you suck, I don't want
Oh
you
yeah,
here
yeah,
anymore. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like,
yeah.
if they had to ask somebody to leave, 100%. You had to call the police to get somebody to leave. Call the police. Like,
Well, that's a safety, obvious. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a safety issue
yeah.
because you're protecting whoever else is
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little
the
bit
kids.
about your decision to have the number of clients you have, right? Because it sounds like that was a very intentional
Sure.
choice. Were there times where you felt like you took on too much, or you took on too little, or what got you to where you are?
So, when I first opened, the big thing that was really big in our industry was summer camp and after school programs, right?
Okay.
And so there's this myth that goes around that, like, you can't have a successful martial arts school unless you have summer camp and after school programs, right? And that's all a lie. Okay. But the circle I was around and the people I looked up to, they were successful in that. And I actually had went and seen a guy one time, talked to him, and again, it was free education, but it still cost me my time, and he did give me his time. But I remember asking him questions, and, like, he couldn't explain it to me. So I was like, well, how'd you build this program? And I think some people actually do. I don't believe in luck, but I do believe that some people just get favor sometimes, and they were able to build it. And sometimes it's the circumstance. It's a small town. You have a good name. You've been around for a while. Everybody knows you. There's no other competition. No problem, right? And you're good at what you do. And so, and this guy still took, like, at that time, like, checks. And I know we just talked about it, but I was like, what do you mean you have people come and give you a check every Friday? Like, this is 2017 at the time. Like, we don't do that. not for $55. But
It's a lot of work.
yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so
Why is summer camps? Why was that what was being sold as the golden ticket? Is it because there was like a client acquisition
So they
process
look at
there?
it as like necessity because most homes, both parents, spouses work,
Sure.
right? So they got to go somewhere. So you can send your kids to a daycare, or you can send them to a martial arts summer camp or after school program. And I had to say, like, a martial arts summer camp or after school program is way better than sending your kid to a daycare because they're going to get different skills. It's not just daycare. There's purpose
Yeah,
to it.
Sure.
And I have some friends in the Richmond area. They run Blast Martial Arts. Doug Taylor and his family, and they specialize in summer camp and after school, and they're phenomenal. I mean, just out of this world. But I ended up going to a big seminar on this, and this is really where my mindset shifted. Was before it was always me, and that's how these other guys were. When I went to this seminar, this guy was talking about, like, just like what I said to you. What happens if you get sick? What happens when you want to take your wife on vacation? All this, and then, like, how to delegate. And, like, I'd never heard the word delegate. Like, I was like, what's delegation? You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a big difference between being a business owner and then being a CEO. And he's like, when you start acting like it and start taking action like a CEO, you're going to have different results in your life. So I came back and we were still doing summer camp and after school, and I worked with that company, and we were very successful in it. I had to say, like, we were doing really good with it, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And I never had wanted to do that. I wanted to really make a difference in the martial arts world and use martial arts, because I mean, I'm telling, like, to me, I was like, I just hate summer camp and after school. Like, I know hate's a strong word, but like, I just hated it. And
why is that? Because it was just the kids were there because they needed to be there.
That's how I always
versus-
felt. Versus
okay.
signing your kid up because you want them involved in martial arts, right? And so I
Turn
decided.
into a babysitting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's
You're
how I felt.
babysitting
That's how I felt.
with a
Yeah.
bonus that is karate,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
rather than
yep.
someone being like, "This is what I want for them."
right.
My intended hour to
Okay.
practice a
Yeah.
martial art versus, I'm just
Mhm.
here to have fun and play with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's how I felt. And then I also feel like the quality wasn't great because, again, people didn't sign them up for that purpose.
Right.
So, like, you couldn't be as, in my opinion, as tough as you should be because, like, you're dealing with a different type of client. Now, some people are successful in it. Again, it wasn't for me, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided to take the leap of faith, and I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, I'm just not doing this anymore. It's like, I don't care if I can make $1 billion doing it. Like, this is not for me. And so I 2022, I had made I decided to, so it was actually last January. And again, I had a successful business, man. Like, I made money, right, with summer camp after school. But 2022 was the year I decided to, like, just go full time with no summer camp after school. And I just remember the stress load just, boom, disappeared. Because also you're dealing with people's kids. And I always say people care about two things. They care about their kids, they care about their money. So don't mess with either. Do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So when you hire staff to work summer camp, like, you can get some people that just don't care. And I'm like, dude, you're watching a soul. Like, this kid, like, you're taking care of a precious gift of somebody all day. Like, it's your job to do a good job, you know? Not everybody thinks like that, because what are they working? They're working a job. It's whatever. It's a summer job, or, you know. And the company teaches you how to get good staff, and that's true. They work great about that, but it's still a job. Like, and it's still, to me, it's still babysitting. So I went, I closed that, and I went full time with the school. And so we went through a rebranding process. That was the other thing. I wanted to rebrand my business because I'm going to open up multiple locations, right? And everything's about the blueprint. Okay, it's got to be simple. KISS, keep it stupid simple, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Backwards. I like it.
I like
Yeah.
that better.
Yeah.
So you went from how many students to under around 40 now? Like, you were doing the summer camp stuff. So how many students did you have prior to this?
So we were
2022.
about 130 members, actually.
Wow.
And so through the rebranding, through everything, through the restructure,
That's when you change from Kickstars to
Yep.
5-star.
yeah, Kickstar Martial Arts to 5-star Martial Arts.
You got a website?
Yeah, it's 5, the number 5, and then FIVE Martial Arts. So we went and rebranded that, and with that came a different program, right? Because my thing's always been about quality. So we're gonna raise the standard, and again, not everybody's there for that standard. And so then I also had some bad clients that I had been kind to during that time. And so I just sat down with them. I was like, hey, here's the new program. Which one do you want to choose? Well, I want to do the old program. Well, here's the new program.
Yep.
Which one do you want to choose?
Sorry, what's
Yeah.
your domain
Yeah.
called?
It should be the number 5 and then FIVE Star Martial Arts. So it's like technically 5-5.
And so you had to have those tough conversations with a couple clients that, like, just weren't going to be with the
Yeah.
new program.
Yeah. How do you approach? So you seem to be very good at handling like conflict directly with a client, right?
Mhm.
So
I think he has a problem with conflict.
Yeah, yeah.
I said,
And
I
it-
has a
it-
problem with conflict.
It's not
Well, you
because
know-
of the physical side. It's not.
no, yeah.
Well, I mean, you still have mental fortitude.
Yeah.
If you can handle the physical
Yeah.
stuff, it's kind of the
I think you should always agree with your client. Okay.
interesting.
Because when you agree, what's that bring? If I disagree with you right now, that's gonna kind of make you close up or bring your guard up, right?
Gonna polarize.
Right. But
It's
if
gonna
I
be defensive.
yeah, exactly. But if I agree with you, because I need to understand where you're coming from, and I had to say, like, I've grown a lot on this because I used to just be like, look, it's black and white. This is how it is, man. Deal with it, right? But I've also grown as a businessman, as an entrepreneur. So I think you should agree with a client, understand where they're coming from, and then you need to fact find what the real problem is. And so a lot of the times the real problem is not financial, it's something else, or it's something in their own personal life. And then sometimes it is financial. So if it is financial, okay, like what can we do to make this work?
Yeah, a lot of things in business is not a lack of resources; it's a lack of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
I've noticed. We don't have money. How do you fix that? Get more sales. How do we get more sales? Be resourceful. Figure it
Yeah.
out. Aaron mentioned to me one of your marketing strategies. You have an ad agency that does a
Mhm.
Facebook campaign, but I will critique we saw the posts on your landing
Mhm.
page. They're goofy as heck, but they're working obviously.
Mm,
But it's
Pretty
the
solid.
dollar amount. It's like $30 for
Yeah.
2 weeks,
yeah.
and they get the uniform
Mhm.
and the belt,
Mhm.
Because
and that I guess covers your cost as far as of that aspect. You're probably losing money
Yeah.
on this, but you're getting the person bought in
In the door.
in the door, and it's 2 weeks. It's like almost becomes a habit.
Sure.
Into it. It's brilliant.
yeah, it's 4 visits. It's
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
weeks. It's 4 visits, and like
Oh, it's
once
4 visits. Okay.
and I'm telling, I know what I knew what you were doing, because like when they first come, they have to earn their white belt, right?
Yep.
And they have to do something to earn the white belt, right? And so whenever they get that white belt, and you're gonna tell them you're not coming again,
Yeah, there's
forget
a
that
feeling.
Yeah,
conversation.
What like the
absolutely.
kid
It's
is like
an
all
emo- it's
pumped
an
up.
The
emotional
kid's gonna
high.
argue with the
Yeah.
parents. Oh, you better
Yeah.
sign me up.
Yeah, the kid is 100% sold on it. And Oliver,
cool.
Oh,
when
those
I
poor
brought Oliver,
parents, man.
my man was vibrating. Like
he was shaking, bro.
he was just like
That's
so
crazy.
pumped. Like he was just like literally, it was the greatest thing ever. And
That's funny. Yeah.
So I think, and it's funny you say that the post is goofy because it looks generic. Like it looks.
Yeah, it's
like,
very generic.
right. But
It works,
so
though.
June 1 to today, we've gotten like 57 leads from that, and I think we've spent about $120.
That's pretty amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's insane. Sometimes like it's all I can do to keep up with it, right?
Yeah.
Have you delegated that?
Yes and no, because at the end of the day, I have some guys that are doing really good. They're just not quite there yet, right? So some of the things I have delegated, and I think a lot of it's just the confidence. So if I hit a certain one, for me, it's like, okay, we got to get this certain number every month. We live and die by that. And then once we get these new students signed up, after that, like I'm like, hey, here you go, man. Call these people, sell them, right? And they're capable of it.
Have you thought about hiring just someone that's proficient in sales
So
and offer
yeah,
some
that's-
sort of pay
that's
structure?
good. So let me ask you guys this: what business are you guys in?
We're in sales at the end of the day.
Everything lives and dies by sales.
Sure.
So me and James come from sales backgrounds.
Yeah,
I'm
Like
with you.
we did. He ended up doing more on the recruiting and management side of training direct sales, but
Yeah.
I lived and breathed direct sales for
Right.
a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I stopped working, I stopped making money.
And
Yeah.
and so much of that, so many of the soft skills that come from sales are applicable to many other things. right?
Everything,
Yeah,
right?
So
you
no doubt.
gain one tough skin
Yeah.
doing direct sales.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny is like I used to hate sales, so that was another thing that like held my business back. Like my mom worked for me. She sold the program. She's like, "Here's your choice, yes or no." I'm like, you definitely say yes to my
She's-
mom. She's like, she's very.
She knew how to ask for the sale.
Yeah,
right?
but and introverts actually make some of the best salesmen, believe it or not. Like it's true. But dude, I didn't know anything about it, and I had always like kind of had that idea of being a salesman that like you were a scammer, the used car salesman. It's not true. Everything sells. Like I had to sell myself when I wake up in the morning to go get after it, right?
Yeah.
When I tell my wife like, hey, let's go eat here, like I had to sell my wife to marry me, like. Right? It's true. Like
Yeah.
we definitely know Aaron sold hard because I'm telling you what, she comes. I was like, man, but you do, and so like when you think of it like that, it is a sell. Like you're trying to sell everything. I think sometimes you have to ask the tough questions, and I have friends that do that, and I have friends that don't, and they're both successful. Probably two of the biggest mentors in my life are again Aaron Hensley and my friend Josh Smith. They're both my friends, but they're kind of polar opposites, but they're both super successful, right? And I don't have a problem asking you why the price is too high. Why is it too expensive? Like ask Aaron, he knows, okay? But I don't know if you remember this when you first signed up, right? You signed him up for basic, okay?
Mhm.
And I told you, I said, I'm going to call you. I'm going to offer you a deal, and we're going to upgrade into black belt training later. I don't know if you remember that, but I was honest because I believe in telling people my intention, right? So we have 2 programs. We have a basic training program. We have a black belt training program. Our black belt training program is our core program, okay? That's everything. That's where you learn weapons. That's where you spar in. Then we have our basic, which is just like fundamental punching, blocks, and kicks. So we look at basic as a trial. You're still trying us out. Like I haven't got you to commit to putting your kid in there, right, to become a black belt. So when people sign up for basic, like I'm super awesome. Like sometimes they haven't seen the value yet, and price is only an issue in the absence of what? Value, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, hey, I totally get it. I'm with you. But I want you to know, like, I'm going to upgrade your kid in the future because I want to be transparent about it, right? But you got a great deal, by the way. You did. Okay. So
Hashtag friend discount.
yeah, it was actually Memorial Day weekend. So
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah, it was a Memorial Day weekend discount. But
So how many years does it take for a child to go through the years to become a? I mean,
a black belt.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's stages. I know Taekwondo when I took it, just high school.
Yeah.
You know, like you had like black belt and you can get stripes
Sure.
after that.
Different
So,
degrees,
yeah,
yeah.
Thank you. So how many years to become a like first degree,
First
second?
degree.
Yeah.
Our schools is about 4 years. Yeah, it's about 4 years to get a black
And
belt.
what's the youngest you can?
So you can start at 5. So technically, I don't know. I wouldn't say that I would promote a kid at 9 years old. Depending on where they're at. Like, but one of my best friends that I competed against, Seth Boyette, he was phenomenal, and he was one of the youngest black belts in their school. And I think he was 10, and the guy ended up becoming like a 13 or 14 time world champion. Like he was a savage. So like
Now,
they definitely had
is
it.
there compliance in your world to where you have to be a black belt to open your own dojo?
No, so that's
that
the
like a
thing.
myth?
Yeah, that's just like insane thing. So like you'll meet people that go, oh, it should take you 7 or 8 years to get a black belt, right? And so then this is my question to them, right? Oh, okay. So where's your instructor teach at? Oh, the rec department. Oh, cool, awesome. How many nights a week do you go? Oh, we go twice for 45 minutes. Oh, okay, cool. So 7 years, totally get it. 2 times a week, sure. That's all you're getting, 45 minutes. Okay, makes sense. But don't be mad at Billy who goes to a professional, right, and goes 4 nights a week or 2 to 3 nights a week, okay, and is getting an hour and a half each night. The time, it's just numbers. Math is not
it's a
emotional.
10,000
Yeah.
10,000
hour rule.
hours,
It's a,
yeah.
it's a perishable
Yeah.
skill.
So-
yeah.
Yeah.
And in the martial arts community, there's just so much ego, dude. You guys ever seen that webpage on Instagram, McDojo Life?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
one of the greatest things
It
in my
is.
life.
It's awesome. Like, but people believe this.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
I
it's
mean,
unbelievable. It's fake martial arts.
Oh,
to-
this
to
guy,
clue
Oh,
you
it's
I've
the
in.
guy
seen
who
him.
like
Yeah.
takes
I've
the
seen
gun
him.
out of your.
No, that's one guy who's a comedian. No, these are people who are in fake martial arts that are like
Convince
fully
people.
convinced.
convince people to
Like,
sign
And
their
push
kids
you
up.
out of the way
Like-
to blow air.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, they use
Yeah.
energy and
Yes.
force
Yeah.
fields,
Yeah.
and
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh,
wait a
it's
minute.
yeah.
So
No.
like it's just like a scam. Or
It is.
like-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
well, it's
Honestly, I think some of the people actually believe it.
some of them absolutely do believe.
Okay, so it's got like
It's a
okay.
cult.
It
more
overlaps.
cultish than
yeah,
anything.
It overlaps with like the
Chakra.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The
Yeah,
crystals or various snake
Yeah, yeah.
oil leaves.
Pink
Yeah,
Himalayan
there's
salt.
actually a video of
Salt lamp.
online of this. This is the best one of all time. There's this guy who has these individuals convinced that they can project a force field, and then
It's
he
bent over.
he has them run at them, and he does not stop. And it's like he slams into them and like just physically like kill just like
takes
like
him,
a
just
bowling
takes him
pin.
out.
demolishes,
Oh,
man,
takes
yeah,
them
takes
out,
them out.
and then like their perceptions are shattered and like they're for real injured, and then he like has to check on them, and then he acts like their energy like almost killed him.
So
Yeah, it's true.
I got
Yeah.
a question
Man.
because
It's amazing.
you gave Aaron
It's
a deal,
amazing.
and you said it was Memorial Day, so you gave him a Memorial Day special.
Sure.
So there's debate on this now. From a B2C transaction, do you see yourself and your business get a lot more customers when you do specials? Because there's some, like in our business, we don't
Yeah.
do discounts.
Sure.
Because
Well, we're also B2B.
Well, again, there's even B2B. People ask us still, hey, you give us
Yeah.
a discount,
Yeah.
because we're doing this,
Yeah.
and we stop we've learned, at least in this space, if we give a discount, that client is usually gonna be the most pain in the ass client
Yeah.
every
Big red
single
flag.
A big
time.
red flag in our.
Or if
business,
they
yeah.
haggle my price,
Yeah.
I'm always stern.
Yeah.
Like, Aaron has seen me do this where we have a
It
client.
gets really uncomfortable in the room.
Well, it gets uncomfortable for him. I have no problem,
That's
and
just business.
and at the
Yeah.
end of the day, the client still
Yeah.
says yes to my price.
Right.
So, because you're
Yes, no
you're
question.
you're devaluing my service.
Yeah.
But do you see in your business? Because I guess it's just that consumer mindset. Do you get a lot of deals or new parents in the door when you do specials?
So
I guess it would be twofold too. What's the quality afterwards? as
right,
well?
Right.
that's the key.
Yeah.
So if I you come in, you do the intro, right? To me, that's your special, right? Obviously, that's what we use to get them in the door,
Mhm.
right? When you sign up, like it's black and white, man. Which one do you want? And if it's a special like that, it's me calling the customer. And so what I do is I go look at the customers. One, we have a discussion with the staff. Hey, who do we want in black belt training? Because we have some
okay.
basic students. They're actually the reason they're in basic because we chose to keep them there. Because like the kid can't stand still, so it's not always about getting them in the core program, right? Sometimes the kid just apparently never played outside or did anything, and we can only handle him for 30 minutes, or we're gonna be in the newspaper, you know. And so
Little Timmy
sometimes.
got kicked out the
Yeah,
window.
and that's the 2 weeks for us is like the evaluation of it,
Yeah.
finding out where they need to be. So what we'll do is we'll sit down and say, hey, we have these kids. All right, cool. They're in basic. All right, let's look at why they're in basic. All right, the parent chose it. Okay, or like we chose, and he's really grown, and then we're gonna call because hey, we think the kid's ready. They need to be it. Like my opinion was Oliver should have been in it from day one, right? Okay, but that's okay. It's the parent's choice, no problem. But then we're like, all right, well, this kid needs to be in basic because that stripe test is, I feel like, in my opinion, what should have sold you was when you have a kid who's a white belt that outperforms guys that are orange and blue belts, right? And you're like, this kid's in my basic program. Why isn't he in black belt training? These other kids are in black belt training, and they were crying, and he did his job, So that's what we kind of
Yeah.
look for. I'm not gonna
That was one of the single best. Not because
yeah.
not because of how Oliver performed, but that was one of the single best. I don't know, experiences I think that a kid can go through.
Oh, absolutely, because it's tough.
I was blown away. I went in there and I was working. I was literally doing edits while I was in there, and then this is way too emotional, and I'm just gonna need to shut the there were adults in there crying,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so basically it was the discipline test, right?
Yep.
And he had kids get in push-up position, didn't explain anything to them, and then held them there for 15 minutes.
Yeah. And these are 5 through 7.
And they
You
so
know?
kids are crying and
Oh,
breaking
yeah.
down,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and but they're holding it
Right.
anyway, and I was
It's a
just
challenge.
like, this is one of the greatest things that these kids can go through.
Yeah, the lesson in perseverance, right?
Yeah.
Which they don't always have.
And
There's
then hearing their friends who are sitting next to them break down, and them even though they're crying, then they're holding it.
It's like being
Even-
punched in the face. 'Cause
Yep.
I think
And
a lot
that's-
of people need to get punched in the face.
That's the other thing. Honest to God, that's the other thing. That's why I wanted. That's why I agreed
your kid to get
and
punched in the
put
face?
him in the black belt, because I got beat up when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I sat there and sobbed. I wish to God that I'd been punched in the face before that in an environment where I could actually learn.
Yeah.
Think
right?
about it and learn. Yeah, understand.
So
yeah.
Oliver now has been punched in the face a lot.
but he did good
Not by
last
an
night.
adult though. You gotta say that part right.
Yeah, not by an adult.
So you just do kids.
No. We work with adults.
You have
as
adults.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask have you thought about adding adults? Okay. Cool.
Yep. We've man, I've worked with adults all the way up to 70.
Do you charge
Wow.
more for adults than kids, or you charge
Everything's the same.
Everything's
across
the same?
board. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's the same
Makes
across
accounting
the board.
very easy.
Yeah, very simple.
Yep.
Yeah, keep things
Yes.
simple. Same thing with training. That a lot of people will train I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm like, do you not have basics? Because I always believe that basics make you or break you,
Mhm.
right? If you ain't got good basics, well, the fancy thing's not gonna work. You know,
Strong fundamentals make everything.
everything. And so I'm a firm believer that and this is just my opinion. I believe that we actually are living with some of the weakest generation as far as mental.
Mhm.
They don't want to work. They're entitled. They're lazy.
I agree.
Right. And so how do you change that? Because I also believe we live in the easiest time to become successful.
Oh, there's a quote that goes with that.
Are you talking about hard times? Yeah, hard times
Hard
make
times,
strong
soft men.
men.
Yeah.
And then strong men make soft weak times or something like that. Yeah.
Easy times,
Easy
easy times,
times,
great
that's
weak
it.
men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then weak men create hard times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's
in
just
everything
basic.
you've said, I think one of the probably the most interesting things is the idea of perseverance, right? And saying like,
Mhm.
okay, like this is challenging for a 5-year-old to do,
Yeah.
and because it's challenging, it's worth doing, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
so, and you clearly believe that, right? And I think that is an important element of sales, right? But
Yeah.
also building a business is
Oh,
you have to have
absolutely.
genuine belief in what you're pitching,
Yep.
right? Because otherwise it rings hollow, right? And or maybe they genuinely believe in the chakras. Who knows, right?
Oh man, it's so good. I'm telling you,
It's great.
if you need some entertainment for a good 3 to 5 hours,
And they're
Yeah.
serious, like
Oh,
They
it's
are
like-
dude.
it is.
100%
There was,
serious.
Joe Rogan has had a few of these.
Yes.
Not he's done review of these clips.
Yes.
He's on with like some
Yeah.
MMA people, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Look how ridiculous these guys are."
Yeah.
it's
Um,
unbelievable.
yeah.
It's
I gotta-
amazing. I
from,
love it.
From a stat standpoint, do you typically get more males or females, or is it more equal 50-50?
You
or
know what? I would say 15 years ago it was definitely a male-dominated thing, and I would maybe 20 years ago, 20 to 15 years ago. Now I feel like it's even. It's really even. And I'll tell you this. I don't know if you've seen it, but my girls, man, they're bad to the bone, dude.
Yeah. I think her name is Andrea.
Oh yeah, she's a savage.
Yeah, that girl. I watched her like she's sparring with one of the other kids, and then like she does this
Lights
thing
them
where she
up.
like runs at them, pivots, jumps around, and like tags them in the face.
Smash 'em.
Oh,
She's
man.
strong.
Like
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
like some action
It
hero.
was like straight out of Logan, like the little girl in Logan. Do you remember that?
remember,
no.
he doesn't
Oh, you
watch
haven't
movies.
Watched movies. Oh,
Yeah.
You
man.
we can't use many movie references because this man right here, who's a videographer, doesn't watch movies. We're trying to change
That's
that.
why. That's
Uh,
why. Yeah.
But
But my girls are better fighters, and that's because I think I'm probably
Like you too.
my philosophy was always twice as tough, because at the end of the day, like, guys are naturally stronger than you. It is what it is. It's
Yep.
welcome
Do
to
you-
Biology.
do
They-
you,
yeah.
they seem to think more.
Who, women or men?
The girls.
Oh,
Your girls
Do
seem
you-
to think.
I mean, I think girls are better learners.
do you
like-
find
Yeah.
Yeah.
males come as fine as like doing karate as a way of treating depression? Do you have guys that use your place as an outlet for?
I would say yeah, because if you're signing someone up for a bullying or confidence issue or something like that, they're definitely dealing with some type of depression.
Do you
know.
treat male and female students exactly the same, or from a psychological standpoint different? Because what motivates one person is going to motivate someone different.
I would say it just depends on the individual, because I could probably say I would use the same thing for a male, and then if the lady's personality is kind of the same, it's the same thing. I think it depends on the individual. My wife works in mental health. So working with her and like living with her, I've learned a lot, because I used to just be like, yeah, it's a one shoe fit all kind of thing, and it's not. You know?
I have
Yeah,
a quote.
I work out because it keeps the sad voices away.
Yeah.
I have a quote on that. Male depression gets treated like female depression. It's today's own age, but men are made to feel loved, to be accepted, when all they want to do is feel capable and powerful.
Right.
Give a man a purpose and the ability to achieve it, and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile. I think that the feeling capable and powerful and competent and respectful and admire is something that will get a man so far. You give a man those things, and he will deal with suffering to the ends of the earth. Men are designed to do that. We are designed to suffer. We're designed to deal with that suffering, but it needs to be in service of something.
Right. And so I 100% agree with that, and I'm not going to say my opinion, because I do agree with that, because I'm not going to get this thing kicked off. But I would say that definitely, like, as a kid, like, I got bullied, I got in a fight, it was what it was. Okay, it was a dude thing. And then now I feel like, especially the younger generation of men, that like my teens, they come in, they're very passive, very, very passive.
I was a youth pastor for
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that I think that I saw was just people who were living passively, like living on accident. Like I drifted into this job. I drifted into this
Yeah.
where I am. I drifted into college. I drifted out of college. It's just like everything is by accident.
Versus doing
I
things
was
with
that way.
intention and purpose.
Exactly. And I was that way until I found
Yeah.
out my wife was pregnant. Right. I've told that story
That
too
oh
many
shit
times
moment.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
until I started a business and like there was for the first time I was doing something
What did we pull up here? What's
something amazing.
Yeah.
Something
It's
amazing.
a minute
All right,
45. the
let's
first video.
this is actual footage of Yule's karate school.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is what we're gonna train for right here, ladies and
You
gentlemen.
could probably skip.
all right, yellow bamboo, a Balinese martial art that uses
Yep.
psychic energy.
This
So if
this
you hover
membership
over the
right here.
line,
Yeah.
This membership
You can
is
see the point.
500K.
You can see the point where it's the most popular.
$500,000.
Yeah, 500K
So-
for this membership today only though.
Yeah. So go ahead and click there. So yeah,
Oh
she's got this force field going. Here we go.
All right,
Yeah.
so they've taught her how to generate force
Yep.
field, and they're generating it together.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now he's messed up. Now he's
Oh
messed
my
up.
God.
Yeah.
This man's a con artist.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, what was I
Oh,
thinking?
what happened?
so
Oh.
She's got a concussion.
He's
Oh,
even
she-
got
No,
the
she's-
like
she's-
ponytail.
Look at look.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I just gotta be a random
I just
movie,
love
man.
it.
Like,
500
so
grand?
much.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean-
3
500.
miles north
If you-
of
I don't know if it is.
If
but
you-
I was selling it.
Yeah.
20 Tad.
If you pay 500 grand for that,
People
and that's
will.
what you get, you deserve losing that 500 grand.
And I know a guy. He's a very successful martial arts business guy. His martial arts is trash. It's just trash. But one of their famous sayings is, "Yes, I can." And so what I don't like about that is
Like the movie Yes Man.
Well, it's great marketing.
it's great marketing.
McDonald's has a crap product, but still.
Yeah, is that
they got great
and
marketing.
that's the difference. That's what I always tell people. Like we're the Chick-fil-A of martial arts.
Mhm.
Everybody else is
I
McDonald's.
mean, Chick-fil-A is that good.
Yeah, but their service is impeccable.
So when you
Service,
knock
right.
someone on their ass, you say, "Have a blessed day."
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always just tell them
Say
it's
my
not
pleasure.
personal, man.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Ow, my pleasure.
I always tell 'em
It's my leg.
It's not personal, man. It's just business. You
Yeah.
know, they just look at me weird. But I always have a problem with that because like I got this kid, I got his confidence through the roof, but he doesn't actually have the tools.
That's
so-
dangerous.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very
Very
dangerous,
dangerous
yeah.
because you go get yourself in a situation. And I always like to use this. I was like, you think you're Megog Roy, the devil's baby boy. Yeah, I'm gonna fight you, and then you get killed.
Yeah. So it's like a
Bless
false confidence, right? And then
Bless you.
it's like then it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy that like,
Yeah.
oh, you think you're better than you are, and then when you aren't in that circumstance, right? It's
It's like
defeating.
driving a car. If you never get behind the wheel and actually drive it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you can play all the video games and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, that's one problem we definitely have in our industry that I see.
So there's a lot of martial arts that is for show versus
Oh, yeah.
practicality.
Yeah, performance based.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's beautiful, like it's a
Mhm.
type of ballet, I guess you could say. It's
Choreography.
choreography, yeah. But takedowns and stuff like that, depending on anybody that's in some major MMA, they're just gonna
Mhm.
get torn up.
And you know what's crazy is like if you look at what like Bruce Lee said about martial arts, he talked about it. If you have American boxing and wrestling, those two things combined will make you a very dangerous martial artist. And it's
Yeah,
just
that was
That's
the-
pretty
they-
much MMA.
Boxing,
Yep.
boxing, and wrestling
Yep.
dominated martial arts for the longest time
Yeah.
until
so the Gracie guys came
Jiu-jitsu,
out.
yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
But even
Jiu-jitsu,
now, like
yep.
look at Habib. It's not a
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu guy; he's a wrestler, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are savage.
they're
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
awesome, man.
So
It's
do you
unbelievable
watch
to watch.
UFC?
I do.
Yeah.
So I actually fought MMA for a little bit too.
Okay. Yeah.
And like so, I had never wrestled a day in my life. I had done judo and I had grappled, but I never wrestled. And I remember the first wrestling class, like they just beat the snot out of me, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like 23 at the time, so I was like, but it was awesome, you know, because to me, I'm just like, I'm just gonna get better. Like that's it. I'm keep showing up and get better. And we had a great coach, Sean, and he was like 5'4", 5'5", and he was I think he was an All-American wrestler. I think he went to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great coach because he was the most dirty, nasty man on the floor. He was so rude to you, man. I mean, he could take your soul mentally. But then off the floor, he's just like, hey, you want to go get some Chick-fil-A? and for me, I understood that, especially being like a coach and an instructor. I was like, hey, he's just trying to make me better. A lot of people didn't jive or comprehend well with that. And I was
Some
like,
people don't like being punched in the face.
yeah, I knew he was digging deep to pull the best out of me. And like when I ended up fighting,
You're
I
not
was
there
like,
to play on the mat.
Yeah.
You're there to, it's discipline.
it's
You're there
discipline.
to learn.
And I think wrestling, like if I could go back and start all over, karate and wrestling. That's what I would have had my parents put me in.
Welcome to the suck.
Yeah, those two things. Yeah,
Yeah.
karate and wrestling. Like we're having a girl.
kickboxing and jiu-jitsu.
We're having a daughter in September, and like,
Congrats.
thank you very much. But
How long? How far?
I
along?
think we got 14 more weeks, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like that's one thing. Like my daughter's gonna be put in wrestling. Period. Like
Yeah.
I don't care because like their brains, man, their discipline, they're just different. And same thing. Like you guys know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's a karate guy.
Yes, one of my favorite
Yeah.
Favorite fighters of all time.
You should
Him
look up.
and Machida.
Look up his dad's karate school. It's awesome. They run a karate school in Greenville, South Carolina. Awesome. But they're great people, and he's a karate guy, and he's been super successful with karate. You know, like I mean, awesome guy. So I think having your kids, as long as they're involved in a martial arts school that's going to allow your child to get punched in the face, right?
Yeah.
Get kicked, and then teaching some basic fundamental takedowns and stuff like that. I think that's the important part. Like, if you go to a school and they say, "Oh, we do no touch fighting here," you should leave.
No touch fighting.
Yeah,
Oof.
but
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how many of those schools make $4 and $3 million a year.
Yeah,
you know?
Wow.
easily.
Yeah,
Wow.
They're selling what the
good-
parents want, not what
marketing.
the kid actually needs.
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's
It-
money
it,
to be
it
made.
turns into a
anything.
babysitting because I mean, right now, like even looking for, at 3 to 7, 5 to 7 years old, it's hard to find daycares. So you find
Mhm.
after school things. You find things.
That's
to
why
st-
there's such
yeah,
a market
soccer,
for that.
You
Probably,
just find
right?
soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
What
age.
can I-
Soccer, taekwondo, and stuff like that's an easy
Outsource
sport.
parenting. How can I shove it?
Pretty
you know,
much.
Yeah.
That's the American way.
Other
That's
than the
what we do.
iPad.
and I always get this too. Like a lot of karate people have egos, and they'll be like, "Oh, my competition's the school up the street," or I mean, I have a martial arts school literally right across the street from mine. I don't care, because I mean, like Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, it's just business, dude. Just
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
But I would say you have a completely different
Yeah.
different demographic than the one across the street.
And that's
Yeah.
what you know. What actually, the guy, because I told the guy, I was like, "Hey, I'm moving across the street from you." Like I was honest, like I didn't have to do that, but I just felt like being a good person, right? And he was like super. He's like, "You're gonna run me out of business." Da da da. I said, "Dude, like, actually, I'm gonna help you because the people that don't sign up here because of a cost issue are gonna come to you." Right? It's true because he's
Yeah.
a little bit lower than me, and that's fine.
Yep.
But if every kid in America decided they wanted to do karate today, and actually I'll rephrase this, if every kid that plays soccer decided they wanted to do karate today, there's not enough martial arts schools to handle that population.
Yeah. Yep.
So when I hear people, "Oh, I'm competing with the guy up the street," no, you're not. You're competing against yourself. You need to, sell yourself, have a better product.
It's like playing golf.
Yeah.
You're playing against yourself.
Yeah, I hate golf, bro. Like my father-in-law got me to play it. I was like,
I mean, you get
"This
that.
is awful."
You get that one drive, man. That's like, ooh, that's a beauty.
Yeah. Then it
Like
hits a
when
tree.
we played the other day, that drive
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Went
then
straight
you
to the
just slice your irons
well,
into the trees.
that particular fairway curved left, but that drive went
I
straight
think
into the woods.
I have so much respect for what golf's taught me, right?
Yeah.
Is so much respect for the mental game that's involved with any individual sport, right?
Yeah.
That it's like you can't allow one setback to then define the next shot and the next shot and the next shot, and then before you know it, your round is just ruined.
Well, look at
right?
the guy who just won the Masters. Wasn't he was like down the day before
the
from Spain or something like that?
What's his name?
trying to are you talking about the Masters? You talking about the U.S. Open this weekend? or-
No, back in April.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like,
So
yeah,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
sure.
so let me ask this because I think we're getting close to our
Yeah.
our time here. But let me ask this before we go.
Mm-hmm.
If there is one piece of personality your personality toolkit that you think that you could not do your business without, what would that be?
I think you got to care.
Yeah.
And I think not so much as actually with parents. I think it's with kids because I always tell people like kids know if you're lying or you're telling the truth. Kids know if you're real or you're a fake.
Mm-hmm.
You can fake a parent all day, but a kid knows, right?
Yeah.
Kids will call you out. And
Yeah,
It's
well,
and that's interesting.
Absolutely.
Oliver listens to you in a way that he won't to
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah, I tell all the coaches there, I was like, remember, every day you're on the mat with a kid, you're changing their life. But you're not just changing it, you could be saving their future life. That's our motto is saving lives for the future's future. Because like I talked about entitlement and all this stuff and like depression and all, like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I never dealt with this when I was a kid like that. But like kids deal with some problems now. But just having actually a phone call on the way up here, my friend, he teaches in Texas. said one of his students was in handcuffs, walking home with a friend, going, "I'm going to prison." I was like kids are playing like no, like this is not okay to play those things. And I told him, I said,
It's
well,
a clout thing right there.
yeah, it's like probably. I mean, I was like, maybe his family has this and this. I said, but you got to learn to speak life into a child. And so, like, I always like to ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because if they tell me astronaut, you know, I'm like, yeah, man, that's awesome. They tell me they want to work at McDonald's. I'm like, well, let's think about that. Like, how? Because maybe you do own a McDonald's. I didn't say you own, right? Let's think about it. And I don't think those jobs are bad because we all had to do those starting out, right? Like I waited
those
tables.
line managers,
but
they make 100K a year
100K a year,
Yeah.
and McDonald's, I
And
believe,
they only hire
Yeah.
inside.
in order to own a
Yep.
franchise, you had to work there, and then
Yep.
exactly.
They only
So
hire up from the inside.
I think you got to care. I think if you care, and I think that's in any business, honestly. Like if you care about what you're doing, then
People see it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
People, I mean, we can all go do a different job today and make a lot more money, but not care. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It'd
like
be too easy.
yeah, it is.
I would get bored.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just feel like
I would. I
you
would
might
get
have no
so bored. I
passion
would
behind
get so
it.
bored.
yeah.
I get stuff like that for programming. I'm like 200,000. I'm like, no, I don't want to. It's so boring.
Yeah, I could go work for
Yeah.
another company for a lot more than what I pay myself now as a business owner.
Right.
But I won't give it two shits.
So then let me ask you guys this question just as a circle real quick. What are your guys' goals for the future? What's your guys' goals?
Oh, guest asked us a question. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah.
Let me start because this is the thing that's on my mind. And you mentioned earlier about having an exit strategy.
Yeah.
My real estate photography business didn't change until I realized that I couldn't keep doing it. Right. And so I developed an exit strategy, and now that business is just awesome.
Right.
Because now it's no longer stressing me out. And so I guess I want to get to the point where now like it, as opposed to like feeling like I needed to get out of that business, now I want to put more in it because now it's not taking up my time.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
it's not stressing me. Now it's not like a ball and
You're
chain
just
around my
managing.
neck.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Yeah.
managing and I want to grow it. And so like I want to see that. I want to go way further with it now.
Cool.
And so like I want to see that make way more money. And I want to I want to be able to have like I want to have a team of photographers as opposed to just like a couple.
Right.
I want a full team of
So
photographers.
then that would make me ask you this. So in 5 years, what would you want your company to gross? Want is a different word than, will, but what would you want?
I want the photographers to be individually bringing in 120 a year. So
How many photographers do you want?
Five.
I
That's
don't
more.
want to I don't see myself wanting more than 5.
So you want $500,000? You want your business to gross $500,000?
More than half
No,
a
that'd be
mil.
like
I was like
700.
600.
750. Give or
Yeah,
take.
yeah. Well, so I don't as a personal choice. I see what happens to real estate photography businesses when they grow beyond that,
Okay.
and I don't like what happens, right? Because they start to develop all sorts of retention problems,
Sure.
and the photographers get treated like crap.
Okay.
Well,
I would rather fill 5 people's schedule and that I could like bring out of like the Starbucks world, like
Yeah.
the people working
Mhm.
retail. I would like to bring people
Mhm.
out of the retail world.
And you don't have a desire to sell that business?
I would eventually. I don't know. I would think about it,
So
but no, probably not because they are terrible to sell. Those businesses do not sell.
They
like
don't
real
have-
estate
They don't
photography
have
do
much
not sell well
valuation.
because you're selling a client list.
So
Yeah.
I would
There's no
say
guarantee.
I would say find out what the problems are when companies go past a certain number, and then change the odds and turn that into like a $1.5 million company, because you can. Because like Costco is a great company. You know why? Because back in 2008, they were paying people $18 an hour to push a cart.
Yeah.
So you pay people more, they stay longer, right? So like that's one of the things I think is like I think $700K is like way too low, man. You need to at least go for 1.2.
Well,
you know?
I've got another business.
Well,
I'm
that's
not
okay.
looking for total income there.
Get
But
2 businesses. I said, yeah. What about the rest of you guys?
I'm at the stage where I am the job. So what you said earlier, working the
job.
job.
He
I
just
wanna-
started a new
Okay.
business.
So
Sweet.
So turning it into a business. So I'm actually in the process of, I guess you see in the dating phase of working with a partner.
Yeah, I'm
So
with you.
hopefully we're merging, and then we'll be able to hire employees, and then be able to both take a very much needed vacation.
What would you like to see it be in 5 years?
Probably like I'll need at least 10 employees in 5 years.
Okay.
So that looks like around 1.5 million.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's fun.
All right. What about you?
Well, we
I
both
want
we
to-
both own this business.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
you two together.
So
We own this marketing
All right.
agency.
I think the biggest thing that I want to see in the coming years is feeling like we're working with clients of more significance,
Okay.
right? And having a bigger impact,
Yeah.
right? And so it's hard to quantify that, right?
I have a
But-
number.
But see, and he thinks about things in terms
I'm
of
the
that,
numbers
and,
guy
yeah.
in this
and that's
business.
fine. And
Well, you
but
want
like
that $200 million studio.
for me,
Yeah.
it's
No, I
the-
need 20 million to
Hold
build
on,
that.
hold on. Let's one
yeah.
person
So
talk.
so for me, it's more. I want to know that what we're doing is having a massive impact,
Okay.
right? And so I know that the way to do that is to scale up the size of clientele that we're
Sure.
working with, because larger clients have more realistic time horizons, bigger budgets, right? We can do more creatively, right? All of which is exciting, because every single time we do a project, and I think it's I've kind of adopted a little bit of the thinking that Aaron has, right? Which is, can we make every project the best project we've done?
Yeah.
right?
Look, lately,
Which-
yeah, we have been. And I
Yeah.
tell you what, I really believe we're on the cusp of something like.
Yeah.
So my other vision for this company is like, I want our lead gen videos to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
And to make wild returns.
To create massive revenue for the clients that we work with.
Yeah.
Right? Which would be
So,
exciting, so.
to answer your question, as far as the number, I would say in 5 years, 10 million.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We just had our business evaluated, which I don't know if you had that done.
Mhm.
I would recommend having someone evaluate like even if you have no intention to sell, you'd be
Yeah.
surprised once you know that number
Oh,
of
yeah.
what the steps you can need to do to get to that next point. We just had it done, and she sat down with us and went through all our books, and then
Right.
what's this, and this worth, and if you do this, and it helped us give her a better idea of what things we need to adjust to. What can we do to make that value much
Mhm.
more?
And it
if-
clearly gives us a little bit of a roadmap
And-
moving forward
Yeah,
as
I-
a
that's
business.
the
right?
We got a lot more excited. I got a lot more excited once I figured out what that value was. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, it's worth, that number.
Yep.
And that's before any multipliers apply to if we
Mhm.
were to sell it. So, again, I have no desire to sell. It's just, it is a good tool to have done every once in a while to figure out, okay, a business is worth this much. Because it does, like, if one of the business owners leave, how much, it's crazy how they have this algorithm, but how much does the value of the business to move? There's two owners. It went down a bit when one business owner left, but if you were just one owner, then the value of your business is.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what can you do to get to that point? As we were talking about, you could step away for 30 days and the
Yeah.
business still keep rolling. So
Yeah.
I would say that is a goal of ours, to get to a point where there's still things that me and James do in the weed of stuff where, like, I'm like, when it comes to Google ad management, I'm the one that does it. We don't outsource.
Yeah, we're still in the
We-
trenches.
the thing
doing
is that
client
Yeah.
work,
One
right?
thing that we're
Which,
very
you
adamant
know,
about is we do not outsource anything overseas. There are
Yeah.
a lot of other market agencies that do that
Yep.
because, yes, they get a better return. They have a huge margin. Oh yeah, they're common web designers overseas, and you pay them $4 an hour,
Mhm.
maybe some a little bit more than that. But the problem is there's a communication and English breakdown, and you can even tell in the copy a lot of times, like, that doesn't read right or sound
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, because we
Or-
want to
or
do our very best.
Design
work.
trends don't match. Like,
yep.
we just got a client called Maruka Carriers. They build these huge dump trucks here in Ashland.
Caterpillars.
Oh,
Literally,
yeah, yeah.
like, these are
Tonka
$250,000
toys, right?
machine, like huge,
Yeah.
Tonka toys essentially.
Yeah, some are like 1.2, dude.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
are insane, and
Yeah.
they have a manufacturing plant here. But the Japanese version of that website, because it's a Japanese company, it looks like it's an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They take, like, they have the Tonka truck, and then they have, like, the universe in the background with a star coming across, and just like sparkles, and it's just like this makes
and you think
absolutely
about
no sense.
like
and you think about
MySpace.
their target audience in the United States of like a trades guy,
Yeah.
And
looking
just
at that
like,
website,
about
being
it,
like,
it's not about
this is goofy as heck.
I'm
What is
pretty
this-
sure some
what
of
is
those
this
trades,
Naruto-looking
our
bullshit?
trades guys would have other names.
So
They're like, you're not a tradesman.
Yeah.
so
yeah.
so that's the one thing.
Oh,
So like
that's
we
awesome.
take adamant is we do everything in house, because then we have full control of the quality. Because if we f up, we know
Right.
it was us.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot better. We still make mistakes. We've gotten a lot better and adjusted, but a lot of times it comes down to the clients that you work with. And as we have grown, we've gotten easier clients. Like I remember, like when we worked with a cleaning service, and when we first started working with her, we quoted a price, and it was like $1,000 a month in management, and like this is the whole. By the way, she made a ton of money, but it's like, she's put in her whole business on us, and everything we do revolves around as far as making her look good, and it's like her life savings, and it wasn't. And she's just like so attached to this small
Yeah.
dollar amount to what she was used to paying for, versus the client. And I quote him, well, this can cost you $80,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go.
I think that's the best advice.
Uh,
I think that's the best advice I've learned from you, especially when quoting somebody. Is like never skirt around the edges. This is X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is whatever. Discounts, none of.
I don't do
take it or leave it.
discounts.
Yeah.
And the
So-
quality of clients you get is so much better.
It takes the same effort to sell $150 as it does to sell $30K.
Yeah.
And it's
Same
it's
effort.
it's
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
I remember when I was selling B2B, selling a physical product to, for example, real estate agents, and I'm quoting. I remember the first like $30,000
Yeah.
deal I did, and I quoted that. It was like
Your
I
heart.
wasn't
Yeah.
shaking, but I made a mental
nervous,
statement,
yeah.
and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be $33,000. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, it's $33,000. So I'm like, it's 33, and I'm freaking out. And then he goes, can you do it for 31? I'm like, and I'm like excited in my head. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
So,
problem.
Yeah.
that again, I was just learning at the time, and I did negotiate, but it was a physical product I was selling, so it was
Yeah.
more of a deal in that aspect. But nowadays, when someone like I know what it costs us to make something, so I have to go, but I have overhead.
Yep.
Yeah, it may sound
It's
like
simple,
a lot.
It's simple
You're-
math now.
Like I
Yeah.
charge 8,500 for a basic website to
Mhm.
start, and that usually gets across the board for most clients as far as what they need. And I'm not making $8,500.
Right.
I got rent to pay.
Yeah.
I got insurance. Like the amount of money we spend every month
Yeah.
is insane. Granted, we get a lot of airline miles.
Yep.
Use
Um,
those credit cards, baby.
Yeah.
But it like when we started building websites, it was $1,500 is where we started at. I would,
Yep.
and if some people come to me, he's like, "Hey, can you build a website for $500?" I'm like, "I ain't gonna get out of bed for $500. Sorry."
Now I
So-
can go Uber for $500.
Yeah,
You know,
I wouldn't even do
yeah,
that.
like
but-
that's how you have to think about the
Yeah.
price and everything.
Oh.
So,
Well,
but you got to
so-
start somewhere.
You do. So this has been great.
Thanks, guys.
yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Thanks for coming out.
I think it's so cool to hear your story, and I think there's a lot that you've said that'll resonate across all industries. right?
Absolutely.
Which is what business is, right? So, do you want to wrap us up?
All right. You guys
What an
have a
eventful-
wonderful day. I love you.
Would you say this was the best podcast episode?
This
we've
is the
ever
best
had?
podcast that we've probably ever done. And
if you stay this long.
until the next one.
Until the
Until
next
the
one.
Until the next one.
That's right.
See you next week.